Please welcome the writer-directors of Araby, Affonso Uchoa and João Dumans, and joining us to help with Tiago Correa, producer of the film. Thank you for coming straight from the airport. I know it was a long travel day for you both. I just wanted to start with a question about your decision. If you could talk about a decision behind the framing device, the decision to frame the story this way. It seems like a story about the boy, Andre, and then it shifts to a story about Cristiano, told by Cristiano. It gives the film an unusual structure, but it also seems very connected to the ethics and the politics of the film. So maybe you could talk a bit about that.
Sim. Boa noite. Bom, vou falar em português. Tiago will translate me. Essa decisão de contar essa história dessa maneira, ela foi algo que a gente foi construindo durante o nosso processo de escrita do filme. É importante dizer, desde a saída, que o filme durou 3 anos para ser gravado. Nós gravamos ele em 2014, 2015, 2016. E durante todo esse processo a gente foi reconstruindo a história e, de fato, a gente compreende que, apesar de ser um filme narrativo, de ser um filme ficcional, a história mesmo do filme, o roteiro final, foi sendo construído durante a filmagem e só se concluiu mesmo na montagem.
So, good evening. The decision to make the structure of the narrative of the film, it was made through the process of writing the script. The process of making the film took over 3 years. We started in 2014, and we had a major part in 2015, and then some extra shooting in 2016. So during all this period of time, they were rewriting and discovering a lot of things in this process. So even though the film is the story is a fiction, it was developed, and a lot of things were found and discovered during this process, throughout this process.
E para a gente, essa estrutura em que começamos com uma história e vamos encontrar no meio dessa história uma história diferente, uma história maior, foi a forma que a gente encontrou de promover, de realizar algumas coisas que inquietavam muito a gente. Em primeiro lugar, a gente queria compor um filme que a gente, de alguma maneira, conseguisse tematizar essa dificuldade, essa possibilidade difícil de encontro entre diferentes classes no Brasil. A gente está falando de um trabalhador e de um jovem de classe média. De alguma maneira, eles se encontram, mas esse encontro ele é imperfeito, ele não acontece de verdade. A gente imagina que isso é importante enquanto uma visão sobre o Brasil, sobre a nossa realidade.
So we believe that this structure of beginning the story with one narrative from one character and then changing to another character, it was something that it could also give us the possibility to explore some things from narrative that kind of was daring to us. One of the most important things was the possibility of providing an encounter between a difficult encounter, encounter that is not very common between a character that is a working class man and this middle class boy. It's not a perfect encounter. It occurs in a not, I don't know, ordinary way, but it was something that we think it would be interesting to explore.
Não, é só, antes de passar para o João. Outra coisa que a gente gostava era de explorar essa possibilidade de histórias e de vidas diferentes se encontrarem, mesmo que por instantes pequenos, mesmo que por acaso, e possibilidade de criar uma narrativa em que a gente vá explorando diferentes dimensões de histórias dentro de uma estrutura maior. Isso é algo que a gente herdou certamente de um escritor americano, João Dumans Affonso, que desde o filme que a gente trabalhou primeiro junto, a gente já gostaria e já tentou explorar essa semelhança de estrutura no que ele faz na literatura, também no cinema, e a gente gostou e queria explorar um pouco disso também no Araby. Essas diferenças de dimensão, de história, de participação de diferentes vidas e momentos dentro de uma estrutura maior, que é o filme.
So to explore the possibility of those type of encounters of people and from different dimensions and different possibilities that we wanted to explore, and this is an inheritance from a work of an American writer called João Dumans, that they actually did something like that in previous work, and for this work they thought it would be very interesting to explore it as well.
Affonso was telling about this, our interest in that different characters can have different weights in the narrative, and then it's like we were thinking something in our films, like we wanted to do like João Dumans Affonso did in his books, like a character can have one page and another character can have 3 books or 5 or 8 chapters. So thinking about these different weights, these different weights of ways of people being presenting the narrative. They can be presented for like 5 minutes, or they can be there the whole narrative. So it's like this thought of having different weights for characters and for their.
It's interesting that you were mentioning a literary reference point in João Dumans Affonso. So maybe you could say a little bit about the title of the film. It seems to relate to this sort of offhand moment in the film, this joke about the Arab in the desert. But I think there might be sort of other things you're thinking of in evoking Arabia.
Well, actually, yes. For us, the title is a coincidence with the joke. It was not really. Actually, it came from its origin. When we first started this project, as Affonso said, we thought it would be a short, and it would be in 2014. And then we started working with the text from James Joyce's Araby, from the Dubliners. And then we wanted to work with that, and then but then things started to change a lot, and we in a way we think we kept more kind of the spirit of the narrative of James Joyce. That's like working neighborhoods, and also there's something very important for us. In the Dubliners and everything, there are always these characters that they are searching for something that they cannot get, but then in the end of the narrative, they have this brief enlightenment, or like they realize something about their own lives, and it's very brief, it's very fast, and they not necessarily can do something with that. And then we knew that the film had nothing to do anymore with that, but we couldn't get rid of the title because we loved it, and it started resonating with other things, with the 1001 Nights. There's this narrative thing of storytelling, and we wanted this film from the beginning, that's sure, to be a film about storytelling, about how telling stories can keep you alive and can keep you alive and can keep you free, can keep your freedom by telling your stories, by choosing how to tell these stories. So it relates with different things, and it's open, but for us it's a bit like that.
That's very striking. I mean, the film is framed as a story, but even that story is composed of so many other stories and jokes and dreams and songs, actually. I mean, can you talk a little bit about the role of music in the film? Maybe you can start with the song that appears twice in the film, which is the Townes Van Zandt song.
A música é muito importante para o filme, e, na verdade, quando a gente começou a escrever o roteiro, a gente começou a perceber que a música era um fator muito forte e depois na montagem a importância dela cresceu assim, fundamentalmente para a gente construir a história.
We always thought that music was very important for the narrative, and even during the script writing, they felt this way, and especially in film editing, it became even more important.
E até é legal que vocês consigam ler as letras, porque a maioria dessas canções elas são tão conhecidas para a gente no Brasil que a gente já não consegue entender o conteúdo, a narrativa, a história que elas contam. E quando a gente consegue ler o que elas contam, a gente percebe que a letra e o que é contado nas canções tem muito a ver com a história do filme.
And it's very nice to screen the film with subtitles on the songs, because in Brazil a lot of these songs are very well known, and we just hear to the song, so we kind of don't get as much close to the lyrics, and a lot of the lyrics tell a lot about the narrative of the film.
E quando a gente começou a compor o lado musical do filme, a gente percebeu que a gente tinha dois caminhos. Um era buscar algumas canções que conseguissem traduzir um pouco a realidade que a gente queria contar, e isso implicava numa relação direta com o Brasil. Músicas que falassem da estrada, do interior, do trabalho, um pouco da pobreza, da estrada e do trabalho no Brasil, que isso conseguisse passar por filme para o espectador também a partir da música.
So when we started to build the music sheet, what we should work on the film, we understood that we should follow two different paths. One was to choose songs that told something about the reality in Brazil, the reality of our own history. And we wanted songs that could talk about the roads and the landscapes and the working class and everything. So that was important.
E o segundo caminho era ampliar essa realidade e propor outro diálogo na nossa realidade e da nossa história do filme com outras culturas, para mostrar e porque para a gente essa história era universal. Para a gente o que acontece com o Cristiano, a história do Cristiano, ela se passa em todos os lugares do mundo e com certeza isso se reflete nas canções. Então, trazer o Dumans Affonso para a gente era uma forma de dizer que o Cristiano e o nosso personagem era também um herói da country music, do folk, e podia sim, por que não, essa história também se passar no Texas.
So the second path was to try to wide this range to relate the possibility of this narrative with other possibilities, because we thought that it could be seen as a very universal narrative. So to choose some of the songs, it was with this intention to maybe provide an option to understand that this story could also be happening in Texas or something, and to relate with country music and folk songs.
No, it's just that it's a special thing to show the film here in the United States, because of course in Brazil, as I think everywhere, we receive a lot of influence from the United States in terms of music and films and everything. And I think that there are some things that interested us, and then we've always seen the films, the westerns and the folk music and everything, and we wanted to try to see that in our own reality. So the music from Dumans Affonso is like a way of saying this has also a relation to you, of the things that we got, but that maybe has also a relation to your world and to your history, especially here in the United States, I think.
Só completando o que o João disse, assim, realmente para a gente é especial passar o filme aqui, porque muitas das nossas influências também têm a ver com a cultura americana, e certamente não só a literatura, a gente acabou de falar do John dos Passos, da música que está na trilha sonora com Dumans Affonso, country music, folk songs, mas também, principalmente porque a gente acha que esse filme é muito E o personagem, como a gente gostaria de pensar o Cristiano, tem muito para a gente uma certa herança do Walt Whitman, porque existe uma certa crença na força e no poder desse homem e dessa história comum. E isso era uma coisa que para a gente era muito forte, que a gente sente na cultura americana, principalmente do Walt Whitman.
So just to add that we really think that it was very important for us to screen this film here in America, because we do have all of these influences, as we mentioned, from literature, from country music and folk, these artists that we relate to on the film, but also especially to the way of kind of building the characters from Walt Whitman, that we think that it was very, very important to influence us as artists, and we think it's this in the American culture, it's very strong for us, so we want to put in the film as well.
So we've been talking about the film in terms of its narrative and storytelling, but I'm curious to hear you talk about the documentary aspects of this film as well. Can you tell us a bit about your actor? Were you working with non-actors? I think there's a great amount of very detailed attention paid to labor, and to many different types of physical labor in the film, and was there a research process, and yeah, if you could talk us through that.
Well, we could answer that in a lot of ways, but I think documentary in a way or another is always present when you are doing a fiction. That's sure. It's an old story, but and for us it was we wanted since the beginning to make a fictional film, and that this film had a relation to literature. It was important that this character would speak, that we saw him writing, that we saw him elaborating and thinking about his own story. But our main documentary aspect is our actor, in fact. The whole structure was like fictional, the team and everything, but he kept us with our foots on the ground, all the time, in the sense that if we said, do something like that, do a work like that, he would say, no, you were wrong, I should not do like that, because he did all these works on his life, and so he was, and we wrote the film for him, because he was an actor from Affonso's previous film, The Hidden Tiger. It's a more documentary film where I worked with him too. And then after this film, we wanted to write a film for him where he could act, where he would be a character that he was not on his life, but he could be if his destiny was different, And then at the time when we started writing the script, he was in jail. After The Hidden Tiger, he was in jail like for 1 year. And after, when he left, he needed a job and everything, and we were in the process of already writing Araby. We already filmed the first part, and we didn't know where to take the film. And then we started talking to him, and when he got out, we said, we must do something with him. We are very close. He makes us feel like a good energy to do something with him. And then he started, actually, we asked him to write a notebook, and with his thoughts, with things that he lived, or with his memories. And we gave him a notebook and a pen, and like after 3 months, he came to us with a notebook full of stories and full of thoughts and everything. But then we decided not to use that, not to use his stories, but because it was not the sense, but actually we learned a little bit of how he was telling his own story, his accent, his voice, how he thought about his life, about his works, about his love. And so actually this documentary aspect was in the research of the film and in having him there with us. So and sometimes, like for example, when we are in that site in the road, those workers that are there, that are playing the songs, they were actually working there. We just arrived there to film, and we asked them, would you like to film? They were doing nothing. It was Saturday. Some workers, they go to their homes or they go to nightclubs in the city, but they were there doing nothing. And they said, "Oh, we'd love to do something with you." And then we asked the guy that had the guitar, and he took the guitar and they started playing songs. And actually, they chose that song that's playing there. So, and then we were mixing everything. We are always mixing actors with non-professional actors and everything. So it's a little bit like that. There's this confusion. Sometimes actors, sometimes as known actors, but all in the same process.
I think it's interesting to be, talking about this film and its relationship to literature and music, but it's also a very striking work cinematically. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the visual language of the film, especially seeing it here today on a big screen. There's a real, I think, compositional rigor to the film, and which it works in an interesting way with subject matter that is typically more associated with social realism. And I feel that the way you shoot and cut the film gives it a level of abstraction almost, or artifice that I think is an interesting tension with what the film is about. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Isso que você diz era uma coisa que a gente sempre buscou desde o começo, que era filmar essa história, que é uma história de pobreza, de marginalidade, de precariedade e associação a muitas coisas que o cinema brasileiro filma usualmente, mas de uma maneira completamente diferente com que os filmes brasileiros, principalmente os mais recentes, fazem ou fizeram.
Well, this is something actually that we were always very much aware of, that to try to tell the story that has all of these elements of poverty and marginalized characters, and something that usually are very much explored in Brazilian cinema, but we wanted to do the exact opposite way that usually they do on these other films, we believe.
Sim. E para a gente era importante que, para isso acontecer, para a gente, algumas coisas, alguns caminhos a gente tinha que tomar. O primeiro era que a gente queria, sim, adicionar alguma teatralidade. A gente queria sair um pouco do realismo, do puro realismo, para poder adicionar outras camadas de representação e outra relação com o público que não fosse só aquela do choque sentimental, da chantagem emocional diante de algo pobre, diante de algo violento. A gente queria adicionar alguma camada de representação, de falsidade no modo de ver essa realidade.
So for that, we decided to make some decisions. One of those decisions was to do a little bit of a theatricality on that, to step a little back from the realism and from the way of portraying some of these things with the audience as kind of a game between the audience and the film, when you portray the violence and you have to be kind of a hostage as an audience of what is portraying. They didn't want that. They wanted to step away from the realistic part and to do this theatricality and to be more act.
There is what Affonso said, I think, is that there is a seduction of violence and a seduction of the marginalized world, and that was something that we wanted to avoid, in the sense we didn't want to explore that as something to be to shock the audience. We didn't want it to, especially not to shock the audience in the sense of the reality of this world, in the sense not to sell it as a merchandise or the violence.
The term is blackmailing the audience. Sorry.
E outra coisa muito importante para a gente era de que explorar no filme algo como uma certa utopia política também, de que de alguma forma a gente conseguisse não só retratar uma realidade, mas pensar em uma realidade possível de acontecer se algumas coisas fossem diferentes. Por isso, para a gente, a opção de fazer do operário um escritor. Não que seja algo impossível um operário escrever, mas não é comum. Mas e o que poderia acontecer se um operário começasse a escrever, começasse a pensar sobre a sua própria vida, enfim. Isso era algo que interessava para a gente. Fazer a literatura estar mais próxima da vida comum.
And another thing, it was almost like a political position to try to make a kind of utopia, to have a different relationship, like for a working class man to be also a writer, and to try to reflect about his own story. That it's not that is impossible, but it's obviously not very common. And we wanted to explore this as a way of building the narrative and to understand as a political act in a way, right? How this could be an interesting relationship and to kind of put the literature more next to the common life, the ordinary life.
Just adding something, you thought about this, that's very rigid sometimes, the cinematography. And for us, Affonso said that already, but it would we used to think the film like a theater of work, a theater of, but actually not theater of work, but the theater of the ruins of the work community. It's like a theater of ruins, of theaters of non-encounters, of encounters that don't happen, of bounds that don't establish, of it's like a theater of people who met and then they go to another place. So we are always thinking the framing sometimes like we were really seeing a theater of these workers like playing their own lives. And yes, was like sometimes for us we wanted to see this as a stage, not to be false or phony or nothing like this, just to see that they were also playing with their identity. They were also playing with us, and in that sense, I think also we are in the third world cinema. We are very used to associate poverty and violence with a very crude cinema, as this crudity would be the only thing that could capture the truth behind these lives, and that's absolutely false. So. That was our main enemy, was this crude approach and this sensationalistic approach. So we felt we had to do a step back and watch people playing with us, and we were enacting that together in that sense.
So instead of opening up for audience questions, we're actually going to invite you all to join us for a reception in the Firmin Gallery, where João and Affonso and Thiago will be happy to chat with you more about the film. So please join us for a drink in the Firmin Gallery. And I want to thank you all for this wonderful film and for being here with us.